12:36, where Nevada comes to talk, and time for our what will now be weekly conversations with KELY Mayor Nathan Robertson. I listened into a portion of your meeting this week, not last week.
It was last week.
Just, yeah, and you have a meeting coming up this week.
Yep.
Got your letter to Jackie Rosen, and there are some numbers in here that I think people need to be aware of. And this is where it kind of rolls downhill. We're talking about your tentative budget as much as a 14% reduction in funding. And there is the possibility that you believe it could be more.
Well, and that's the thing. We've all kind of jumped off a cliff financially and economically at the moment, and we're not exactly sure where the bottom is. We're working off, at the city, best guesses from state taxation. Nevada League of Cities has been providing some numbers, and our best estimates. But yeah, currently that's what we're looking at. That's what we're planning for. It could be more.
That's the big thing, and so and it looks like it's going to be rolling downhill. Organizations are going to come to the city and the county and try to get help, and the county's going to go to the city and the county are going to go to the state and try to get help.
Yeah, and
everybody in total are going to try to go to the federal government for help, and it's.
So the city's
doing. It's never ending. I mean,
you're right.
The only body of all of those that I've talked about that can go into deficit spending to deal with any of this is the federal government.
Right.
And this is I don't want to use the R word or the D word, but it's very possible that we could see both.
Well, and so the city is approaching this, I think, the best way they can. They're going to work like they're not going to end up getting any help, and we're going to lobby everybody we can in the meantime for help. So we're going to plan to get no help, but we're going to
stick the hand out just to see who will give you money.
Hey, if you never ask, the answer's always no.
Well, that's true. I want to touch on a couple of things. I know that why is it, of all times, that it was felt necessary to bring up the possibility to deal with a human resources director?
That was an initiative from our council. We haven't actually had an assignment, and this was in the works long before, the COVID-19 kind of hit. So in the fact that it's been kind of in the works for the last few months, they wanted to get it off the table. Those responsibilities had kind of been getting kicked around between several departments, and they just wanted to kind of make sure. Same thing we did with the fire department. There are some gaps in the city code, just from an organizational standpoint, and those were things we've been trying to clean up since the new council came in last June.
So it's just kind of housekeeping more than anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about this redevelopment project that's been proposed.
Well, so even though the city is facing some steep cuts to their funding, we have some pots of money that there's only one thing we can spend them on. The redevelopment fund is one of them. The city revolving loan fund is another. And we thought, hey, if we can get these out to businesses, that would be better than it just sitting in an account that we can't use it for anything else anyway. And there are businesses in our community that need help, so the council is trying to figure out ways to loan that out at little to no interest rates, so that we can help some of our local businesses.
I know that there was an item on the agenda, and I wasn't able to catch the whole meeting, even though it was on Zoom. The president and other things keep me busy here.
Yep.
But talk a little about these the discussion of possible relief measures. I mean, I know you've got in here your funding of what the revolving loan fund. Councilman Allworth brought up possible relief measures.
What we're hoping to do there is, if you have a business that's closed or deemed non-essential and was closed, Maybe we could do something like lower the landfill fee from what it is for a normal business down to what it is for a closed business during that time. Just trying to do anything we can to help.
Just little partial cuts in things.
Yeah,
I know
I think
that
a closed business landfill fee is like $10.30 a month.
I
And
know
if your business isn't generating any trash because it's closed,
Yeah.
why not?
And I know that there are some communities that are either suspending or crediting a portion of a business license fee to the next term for when they reopen. I don't know that that's even been discussed.
It's been discussed a little bit, but it's not really feasible with the city. Just how we'd structure the business licenses. You pay for it once a year, and it is whether you're open a month or 12, and that's just how it goes. But if there are suggestions from community members, please reach out and to your council, and we're happy to look at any of those.
Now I see on the upcoming agenda the mayor and the city council and salaried employees reducing wages by 12.5%. Where'd that number come from? I'm just curious.
Well, as you know, we're in our budget cycle right now, and that's a 12.5% cut for everybody who's paid by the city. If you're an hourly employee, they're looking at going down to 35 hours instead of 40 hours a week, which roughly equates to 12.5%. Salaried employees would do the 12.5% cut. That was the number that we figured was the least that we could do to make the budget work for this coming year, given the downturn. And we may have to take more measures. We don't know.
And that's what you're working on with the unions.
That's what we're working on with the unions, yes.
So you've been
And
talking.
the union's been great to work with us, and they know the situation we're in because everybody else they deal with is in the same situation.
Talk about reducing hours at City Hall and the landfill.
Well, because we're going to have our hourly employees potentially reducing the hours they're working to make shifts work, reducing hours at city offices and landfill is just a natural extension of that.
So what are we looking at for hours, say, at the landfill, or is that still being...
That's still being discussed. I know they were just talking about shortening things, like instead of opening as early as they do, maybe opening later, or closing earlier in the day, or closing one day a week, or whatever they decide to come up with in that meeting.
So hopefully we'll know more about that by next Monday.
I think you will.
Okay, we'll go into that into detail. And I see here modifications to the police services agreement between White Pine County and the city of Ely. You're going to try to get them to reduce what they take?
Well, currently the way the agreement is set up, they base that. Let me see if I can say this right. There's a lot of financial terms here for it.
It's on a piece of what you take in, isn't it?
It's based on what's in our general fund, but the year that we're paying now is based on what was in our general fund 2 years ago. And as you can imagine, that doesn't make for real easy budgeting.
No.
That doesn't account for things like if we suddenly take in a lot of building permits or we have a steep financial drop-off like we're having. It makes for some pretty high peaks and valleys there, and we just want to make sure, not that it's getting reduced necessarily, but that it's getting evened out so that it's easier for both entities to budget for.
Trying to get things squared away. We are still at the three cases
there
reported.
There are currently no pending cases today that I was made aware of, but just the 3 cases.
Because I've seen no updates at all from William B. Ryrie in the last 48 hours.
And they should be getting one out today, because
yeah.
they just got some tests back, I think, this morning, so they should be getting that out today, I would think. But they've done 111 tests. 108 of those have come back negative. So just the 3 positives at the moment.
Given the fact that we are hurting so much, given the fact that the rurals have been the least impacted by any of this, do you think that there is a possibility that when this all comes about, the rurals might be opened prior to the larger cities, or at least open to a degree?
I think that's a reasonable expectation. The governor mentioned in his press conference last week that they'd be looking at business-specific and regional-specific openings, gradual openings. And given the preparation and the preparation that our hospital has gone through and contingency planning, I think we're in a lot better position in White Pine County than a lot of locations are. And we're hoping that that's the case. We'll see what comes out from the governor's office this week. His orders definitely sunset here on the 30th, so they have to come out with some extensions or a plan of some kind. So we're hoping to see what comes out this week.
The county commission is holding a meeting on Thursday ahead of your meeting.
Yes.
Will you, as a city, and will the city be taking their lead from the county in where we go from here?
Well, and that depends. We'd like to be working together. The city gets its authority from the state, not from the county. And so working together in conjunction with working with the state is the best option. The city will be taking its leads from the state.
If the extension, and I know on their agenda there's extending their orders for the county, what if the county commission does not go along with extending those orders beyond the 30th? I know that generally everybody's looking going on to the 15th, but I'm throwing something out there because I know a couple of members of the county commission, and they might rebel at that.
There are some members of the county commission that feel strongly about that. And to answer your question, we just put out that executive order on Friday. As long as Dr. Byon's orders are valid in the county, they'll be valid in the city. But even if those don't get extended, the governor's orders are still in force, and the sheriff's department and the district attorney, as well as our attorney, will still be enforcing those.
It's a difficult time because a lot of people are kind of pushing back. There have been lots of pushbacks against this, and White Pine County has been for years a strongly, fiercely independent county.
And it's just the Nevada nature. We all tend to be like that to some extent. But in this scenario, it's best if we all figure out a way to work together. And I think, the city leadership has been in regular contact with our state representatives and our federal representatives and lobbying both of those for help and relief and making sure they know what's going on in our community. And I think that's the best way to go about it. We need to work with the people who are around us, our neighbors and other people in our state. I think it's best if we all work together.
I just got a note that Senate leadership is including 501c6 relief for federal relief in the next coronavirus bill. I'm trying to see what this... can you speak to this, or do you know anything about it, or am I giving you news?
Well, I know I've been talking about it with Catherine Cortez Masto. We've also been talking not only for municipal relief, but also there's been a gap in a lot of their programs that overlooks sole proprietors, contract workers, gig workers, things like that. And we're trying to lobby them for help for these individuals as well, in addition to rolling out city programs.
Yeah, this is dealing with nonprofits. The CARES Act dealing with 501c3, but other types of nonprofits, C4s and C6s, includes tourism, hospitality, recreation, and environmental. So this is giving other nonprofits a bit of... this just came from... Wayne Cameron. So that's where that came from. So everybody's wanting help. And I guess the only place that it's available to is the only entity that can deal with deficit spending.
Well, and that's... the federal government does have the benefit that if they need more money, they can print more.
Yeah.
We're not all in that situation.
Which is generally not a good thing, but right about now, that's all we got.
It's not.
How is your checking career going?
It has been so quiet I haven't been up there lately.
Really?
Yep, the seniors have apparently found other ways to do it or gotten what they needed.
They've abandoned you.
They have. Last time I was up there, I only had one person come. It was 30 minutes I was up there before I had someone come through my check stand.
Well, they're probably wanting to sleep in.
And who doesn't?
There you go. KELY Mayor Nathan Robertson, where Nevada comes to talk. We may or may not have the president on at 2 o'clock. We understand there may be a press conference today. If there is, we will bring it to you here live on the Nevada Talk Network. It is 12:51.